And here we have Bill being followed by a creepy ass guy. And I want you guys to notice and remember this camel colored coat that the man is wearing. So just remember that, the beige overcoat. It may or may not be significant later. Alright, notice this right here. Hats on, guys. Notice the Christmas decoration here, the garland hanging inside the entrance here. Remember that, because we will see it again in a very key location. But I also want to just briefly touch upon what this might signify exactly. So Hatar right now, you might not be able to see him, but he is doing the devil horns. And indeed, these are horns. I think they particularly relate to the horns of the Minotaur. Do you know who the Minotaur is? For you guys who don't know the Minotaur, if you do, I'll tell you. Huh? Greek mythology. The Minotaur, of course, was the product of King Minos' wife's indoor bed romping. Maybe it was outdoors, rather. It was probably outdoors, but basically she was copulating with a bull. And the child was this hybrid being with the body of a man and the head of a bull. What King Minos did about this was he had the Athenian architect that he had trapped in his kingdom in Crete create a labyrinth beneath the palace. And so he put the Minotaur in there. And to feed this ravenous beast, he had 14 Athenian youths, 7 girls, 7 boys, put into the labyrinth, where they eventually got eaten the first day they were in there, after days or weeks, by the Minotaur. So basically this is like the original Hunger Games, if you will, with the Minotaur being like the first mutt, if you will. And of course, the streets of New York are very labyrinthine, right? We have Bill walking through the streets, very much like a labyrinth, right? And he has journeyed into the underworld of the unconscious. And the labyrinth, again, is beneath the palace, right? It basically represents the world beneath the sort of polished facade of aristocratic, noble Cretan culture. And of course, Bill is uncovering the labyrinth and the monsters that hide there beneath the paved, polished roads of New York City. So yeah, but anyway, remember the garland. You'll see it again later. I think you ordered a cappuccino.
Cappuccino, please.
And I also think that I've watched this movie a few too many times. Or actually, no, you can't watch Eyes Wide Shut too many times. In fact, every single time I watch it, I get something new out of it. Every single time, even now. It's so encoded, it's so multi-layered. An incredible work of art right here. But when you watch it, either you notice something new, or you understand something that you have noticed before, but in a new way. And of course, Heraclitus, he said that no man steps in the same river twice, because it's never the same river and it's never the same man. Well, no person watches the same Eyes Wide Shut, because it's never the same Eyes Wide Shut and it's never the same viewer. Now he finds out that Mandy, the high priestess, has died. Yeah, so they basically offed her, right? And I do not know how they did that. But I think she basically got exactly what they were about to do to Bill. I think actually in the book, he actually kisses her. I like how the guy's just standing there like, I'm not seeing anything. He's a doctor, right? He can do what he wants. This is normal practice.
Tonight? Just, please tell him I'll be there in about 20 minutes.
Alright guys, remember the garland that we saw, the horned garland that we saw in the cafe? Well, we're gonna see it again here. Inside the home of, we have the Ishtar star, of course, the 8-point star of Ishtar. And there we go. Are we in the palace of King Minos himself, perhaps?
Come in. Bill, I appreciate you coming.
Sure.
No, he just gives me Epstein vibes, because Epstein was also fond of wearing light blue shirts, and he just reminds me of him. Like, it's the hairy forearms, it's the gray, slightly curly hair, and of course he lives in a townhouse mansion, has a six-ring, traveling. There's so many similarities. And then 5 years after this movie, or 6 years after, 2005, Epstein was arrested because of his pyramid scheme in Miami. By the way, notice here that we have a red pool table. It's quite rare, they're usually green, right? Notice how he kind of knocks the balls twice into the pool table. Reminds me very much of the Red Cloak knocking his staff twice into the red carpeted inner sanctum of the mansion. I don't think he's the Red Cloak, but I could see him maybe perhaps having like a priestly function in the secret society, and it's kind of like just sort of an embedded part of his nervous system at this point, just fucking knocking things twice into the ground or whatever. Also there.
Actually,
right? Boom, boom. And also, like, speaking of Epstein and the connections between Epstein and Victor, those women who were leading Bill away, right, to where the rainbow ends, were very much seductresses employed by Victor. And they were taking him to a bedroom. Like Epstein having every room in his New York mansion recorded, I think Victor has it recorded as well. Indeed, he might also be operating a blackmail scheme. Who knows?
I couldn't even begin to imagine how you'd even heard about it, let alone got yourself through the door.
I couldn't imagine how a lowly doctor was in this mansion with us upper echelon people. Like, what?
I recommended that little sucker to those people, and he's made me look like a complete asshole.
Like, that's the only thing he cares about is like his reputation, you know? He doesn't care about Mandy being dead, Nick probably being dead as well, and Bill having been just utterly traumatized by the evening's going-ons. No, he just cares about his reputation and his money and his power and sex, of course. Like, these are the type of people like Victor, who rule a good chunk of society in various sectors, politically, financially, technologically. Like, the lowest of the lowest people are the ones that occupy the highest of the highest positions in society. I mean, no wonder why there's so much chaos in the world, so much depravity. That we are in this mess that we are on so many fronts. It's because of men like this, who operate from a very low, selfish, greedy, territorial, money, power-hungry state of cognition that is not even human, right? And that's why so many people, some people think that, you know, they're like reptiles with human masks on or whatever. It's because they note that they're operating from their reptilian brain, right? They're not operating from their limbic system, or they're certainly not rational, right? They're being very much ruled and governed and driven by the lower instinctual nature. He's like, oh, this guy with his goddamn empathy. Why can't it just be a soulless creature like me and just care about money and power and status? Like, come on now. Human emotions, empathy, compassion, like, come on, dude.
Suppose I told you that everything that happened to you there, that it was fake.
He's just like, just buy my lies, okay? Just eat them raw. Go back to your little life, thinking that nothing is going on.
You've been way out of your depth for the last 24 hours. You want to know what kind of a charade? I'll tell you exactly what kind. Nothing happened to her after you left that party that hadn't happened to her before. She got her brains fucked out. Period.
Notice the complete lack of respect, of reverence for the feminine here, right? I mean, this is a Venusian sex cult, but it's become so degenerated and hijacked by low consciousness males who have absolutely no respect for the feminine, right? And if you think that today's society is more civilized, that we are somehow at a higher sort of ethical level, then I just want you to just engage your imagination and go back to prehistory, to the Middle East, where you had women occupying very high standing positions with men adoring them, right? Highly respected, highly valued members of society. right, who occupied essentially the most important part of society, right? They were the spiritual religious authorities. So this movie very much shows you just how far society has devolved and how much women's standing has devolved, because we live in a world where we think about women's status as being this sort of exponential curve from really shitty to less shitty to not entirely terrible to a little less terrible, not so terrible, a little better, somewhat okay, to equality, right? But the fact remains that it's not just a simple upwards moving curve. It's a hockey stick that has gone from here and is kind of just on the upswing once again. Right? The 60s, the women's liberation didn't liberate women's feminine goddess power, but their masculinity. Right now, they can also enter the job market and become breadwinners, but we are yet to return to our reverential attitude towards the feminine and towards women as personifications of the goddess. Instead of them being admired, valued, adored in these cults, they're seen simply just as bodies, right? They're seen as nothing but sex objects. That's it. And that's the result of the patriarchal and materialistic society that we live in today, where we have such a superficial perspective on the depths of our being, right? And women, they are internal creatures, right? Men are more external, right? We go out there, we conquer, we're very much focused on this outer world, where women are way more indrawn, right? They have a way more sort of rich inner psychological landscape. I'm generalizing, of course. There are men who are also very deep and very psychologically sophisticated, but I'm just generalizing here, right? But in this world we live in today, it's all external. It's all about, this world of matter, and that is a big reason why women have suffered such a devaluation in society, right? We only value women nowadays if they actually go out there and compete in the marketplace like men do, right? And they're fully capable of doing that, but at the same time, it's not developed for them. I mean, women, they're like the moon, they change, like they go through 4 different archetypal phases every single month, where men, we just show up like the sun with a steady energy, right? We are built for this because the society we live in was built for us. But now women have to sort of fit into this very masculine society that does not adapt and is not flexible to really accommodate them as women. And then of course we have people like Victor who have a complete disregarding, disrespectful attitude towards them, right? As we see on full display here. But Bill, of course, Bill is not like an open misogynist like Victor, but he's still misogynistic, or at least doesn't understand women, doesn't understand his wife fully. But then that's not because he's evil. That's just because he's been brought up in a society that is highly materialistic, patriarchal, and superficial. But in this movie, he's undergoing this journey of really understanding what lies beneath the good and the bad, right? All the stuff that has been suppressed, and all the stuff that is happening behind the scenes. Right, the unconscious is a storehouse, is a subterranean temple that houses all kinds of things, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And he's experiencing all of it. And here we get a thinly veiled threat from Victor to Bill.
But life goes on. It always does, until it doesn't. But you know that, don't you?